Well everyone, the time come, Friday the 15th of November, fully covered over now. Ace of tree, dropped the lot, so that's to pick up. We've been lucky really, especially for up here for November. They've been eating more or less non-stop. It's holding about 10 degrees the water, so they have no problem eating at 10 degrees. They are on a wheat germ at the minute. First time I've tried them on a wheat germ, just the NT Labs one with garlic. So they seem to be having no problem with that at 10 degrees. What we've got, say today 15th of November, and we're about 12 up here. So 12 outside. Just going to check the pond now, as I've just come back from work. .7, so just under 10 water temperature. So I've had a look at the forecast next week, what's to come. We're getting, well, according to the forecast, snow up here on Monday with -1 on a night. So that's the good time now, fully cover over, because I can't see it improving much more than that until we come into spring. But it has been a strange winding down of the season, quite warm and mild for this time of year, so we don't know, but I've made the call now to fully cover over. It'll be interesting this year to see what temperatures I can hold, just off retaining the heat from the ground and not letting it just evaporate off the top of the heat, taking off with a wind chill. So that's the only reason I put on these balls. Previous years I've been able to hold around 6 degrees, so if that can stay the same, this year I'm obviously, from the previous video you've seen, keeping the waterfall running and the back filters running, so I'm hoping off the ground temperatures that I can retain around 5 to 6 degrees, even when we're going down to like -10 and some of the worst of the weather. But that's what we're going to put to the test. That's kind of what I've achieved previous years, but I used to knock all of the back filtration off. So we'll see how well the covered over hut works, and if we gain any heat on a sunny day to help maintain a bit of temperature and certainly not let it frost over. See, they're enjoying a bit of the wheat germ and garlic mix. It's always strange watching them through this little porthole. One thing you do notice is every year they get a lot bigger as they come into view in the little hatch that I've had for a few years now. Especially this big girl. I think I'm putting them off a bit now actually, they're not used to me being here. Yeah, plenty of movement still, active enough and still eating, so we're happy with that. Let's see what happens when these temperatures change next week. So just to reiterate a bit what it is we're looking out for over the next couple of months. So I'm 900 feet above sea level, so one of the highest places in the northeast. So obviously we get some extreme day and night temperature differentials. The daytime can go from 8-9 degrees easy, and at night time you can be almost down to totally half of that, with minus 8, 9, 10 degrees. So the change can be quite extreme up here. My method of thought is the pond is 6 foot deep from the coping stones down. Then, as you can see in the embankment behind it, you've got another couple of foot up. So we're wrapped in earth at the back, anywhere from 8 foot plus. So quite a lot of earth insulating the pond itself. The ground temperature of that should keep me about 5 or 6 degrees if I can stop the heat being lost through obviously the water surface, which is why we've got the balls on, and when we're pumping the water out of the pond and into the filters. So all of the pipe work was lagged and insulated. The pipe work underneath the decking is insulated with 100mm Kingspan insulation. The filter hut, as you've seen, is now enclosed, which we looked at in the previous video, with a clear tarpaulin roof. There's old glass and everything else that I've managed to salvage off people. So really that didn't cost us anything but tarpaulin for the roof, about £40. So a bit of a salvage project, but we'll give it a go and see how it performs through this winter. So because when I was a bit more of a newbie in the koi keeping, I'd lost a lot of good, it was Japanese fish at the time I used to buy, not realising that you couldn't just let them go through winter without any protection up here and expect everything to be alright. I probably had a couple of spoilt Japanese fish that had been raised on heat, never experienced a northern cold winter, really didn't like it, and just was losing them. They were just turning belly up at the worst of winter. Perfectly good fish. So me not totally understanding, because everyone had told us previously that you don't have to worry about them through the winter. They live in the wild lakes in winter. Don't worry about it. But unfortunately up here that wasn't the case. They couldn't make it through the winter. I lost lots of good fish, got very frustrated with it. So eventually looked into it more, realised you can stop the water from changing temperature too quickly, which can shock the fish, by methods that I'm trialling now. Obviously I've covered over now with these balls for the last 3 years, and I do believe they hold the ground temperature and stop them really bitter cold nights changing the water temperature too fast. That's where we're at with that. I also now don't buy spoilt Japanese fish that were raised on heat. Those that know and watch me closely now know that my fish are Polish. The LiQWYD fish off the farm in Poland. I have these fish selected for the environment they're going to be living in, because that's, unfortunately, they have no choice but to live up here with me in the northeast. So they're not spoilt on heat. They get good winters in Poland, and that is what I'm having success with so far. 3 years now, and I haven't lost any of these fish because they couldn't handle a northern cold winter. So that is something to think about, I suppose. It probably doesn't bother most of you because you won't live in a cold mountain like I live up here. But if you do live somewhere where your temperatures are a bit extreme through the winter, then just consider that these high-end desirable fish that have been raised on heat probably aren't as suited to a cold environment that you may live in and want them to survive the winter. So what we're going to do is just log what happens over these next couple of months and be a bit of an interesting experiment to follow again. See how cold it gets up here, see how the pond holds out the water temperatures, and basically can you keep them alive and happy enough through winter without heating. So that's what we're going to do. Sunday 17th of November, 0. First frost of November I've seen. So temperature outside is 0. We will have a quick check, see what the pond's done. See, it's supposed to get worse tomorrow. .2. So if you remember, Friday 9.7, but there was a 10 degrees outside. Now 0 degrees, 9.2. So a very steady drop there. Alright, Monday the 18th now. Just finished work. It's just after 4 o'clock. Got down to -2 last night. So there's a load of snow forecast for tonight. What have we got at the minute? It's a steady 0 reading there. Let's see what the water's doing. But I think 9.2 was the last we recorded it. Just knock that on. So that's dropped a good degree there now. 8 degrees. So it was -2 last night. So not a terrible drop, but it has dropped quite a bit. So let's see how we keep going with this and see how fast it drops down as the temperatures plummet. Just take a quick look and see if we can see them, if they have any movement. Yep, we've got a bit of a mixed bag as some of them are settled on the bottom, others are just slowly mulling around. It's to be expected that they have gone through a couple of degrees drop in temperature over the last few days. So we are getting into the colder water now. If I can hold around 8 steadily, normally they will continue to eat. Below 8 I tend not to feed because there's just no interest. But because it's suddenly just dropped from 10 to 8 over the last couple of days, then we're gonna hold off the food until they start showing interest. So Tuesday the 19th, didn't really get snow, but we did get a heavy frost. Let's see, it might have snowed a little bit, but it was nothing like what we used to up here. Let's see what we're at now. It's around -1. It's been going -2, -3 on a night. That's the flap frozen down again. So down to 7.2, 7.1. So as I've just seen there, in about 24 hours we've dropped another degree, which isn't too bad considering it's -2 on a night averaging, and we're now down to 7.1. We started off on Friday at just under 10 degrees, and since Friday, now Tuesday, we've come down from 10 to around 7. So steady, working our way down by about 3 degrees. So we'll continue to monitor it. The ground will be keeping it at the temperature it's at currently. So eventually when the ground will cool, then we'll find a level where the ground stabilises and hopefully holds the water at, which we're hoping is around 5 to 6 degrees. That's what we'll try and find out. So we'll keep a check on it until I get back to you next time.